A nuclear weapon is, a powerful explosive device that gets its immense energy from nuclear reactions, either by splitting the atoms of heavy elements like uranium or plutonium, what we call fission, or by fusing the atoms of lighter elements, which is fusion. The destructive force of just a single nuclear bomb is far greater than any conventional weapon, and honestly, it's capable of destroying an entire city and causing long-lasting harm through radiation. The key ingredient for the most common type of nuclear bomb is highly enriched uranium, or HEU, or plutonium. Obtaining this fissile material is, by far, the most difficult and time-consuming step in building a bomb. That's why, really, international efforts to prevent the spread of nuclear weapons focus so heavily on monitoring and controlling these materials around the world. To be very clear, as of today, there is no public evidence that Iran possesses a nuclear weapon. Intelligence agencies from the United States and Israel, along with the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IEA, which is the world's nuclear watchdog, have all stated that they have not detected that Iran has built or tested a nuclear device. The consensus among experts is that Iran has not yet made the final political decision to assemble a bomb. However, this does not mean there is no cause for concern. The situation is, complex, because while Iran does not have a weapon, it has developed the technical capabilities to produce one on short notice if its leaders choose to do so. This places Iran in a category often described as a nuclear threshold state. This term means a country has mastered the essential steps of the nuclear fuel cycle and has enough technical knowledge and materials to be on the verge of building a weapon. Iran's program has advanced significantly, particularly in its ability to enrich uranium. Enrichment is the process of increasing the concentration of a specific type of uranium atom, U-235, which is necessary to sustain a nuclear chain reaction. For nuclear power reactors, uranium needs to be enriched to about 3 to 5% purity. For a nuclear weapon, it must be enriched to 90% or higher. The progress Iran has made in this area is the central reason for international alarm. The country has demonstrated its ability to enrich uranium to levels far beyond what is needed for civilian energy production. It has also developed and installed advanced machinery called centrifuges that can perform this enrichment process much faster and more efficiently than older models. This combination of knowledge, technology, and accumulated material brings Iran closer to the nuclear weapons threshold than ever before, creating a delicate and closely watched situation on the world stage. The international community is focused not on a weapon that exists, but on the potential for one to be created very quickly. In 2015, a landmark agreement was reached to address these concerns. Known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal, it was signed by Iran, the United States, China, Russia, France, the United Kingdom, and Germany. Under the deal, Iran agreed to strict, verifiable limits on its nuclear program. These rules included capping its uranium enrichment at 3.67% purity, drastically reducing its stockpile of enriched uranium, and dismantling thousands of its centrifuges. In exchange for these restrictions, international economic sanctions that had crippled its economy were lifted. The JCPOA was designed to ensure that Iran's nuclear program remained exclusively peaceful. A crucial part of the deal was the extensive monitoring and verification system it established. The IEEA was granted unprecedented access to Iran's nuclear facilities, allowing inspectors to confirm that Iran was complying with its commitments. This transparency was key to building trust and ensuring that any attempt to secretly develop a weapon would be detected quickly. For a few years, the IEEA repeatedly confirmed that Iran was abiding by the terms of the agreement. The deal successfully extended the time it would take Iran to produce enough material for a bomb from a few months to over a year, providing a significant buffer for diplomacy. However, the political landscape shifted dramatically in 2018 when the United States unilaterally withdrew from the JCPOA. The U.S. government reimposed its powerful economic sanctions on Iran and threatened other countries with penalties if they continued to do business with Tehran. This decision effectively shattered the core bargain of the deal. Iran was no longer receiving the economic benefits it had been promised. For about a year, Iran continued to adhere to the nuclear limits, hoping that the other signatories could salvage the agreement and offset the impact of U.S. sanctions. But as its economy continued to suffer, that hope faded. In response to the U.S. withdrawal and the reimposed sanctions, Iran began to systematically breach the limits set by the JCPOA, starting in 2019. It increased its uranium enrichment levels, first to 20% and then to a deeply concerning 60% purity, a level that has no credible civilian use and is technically a short step away from weapons grade. It also restarted its advanced centrifuges, expanded its enriched uranium stockpile far beyond the deal's cap, and curtailed the IAEA's access to its facilities. Each step was a calibrated move to put pressure on the remaining parties to the deal, but it also rapidly advanced its nuclear program and eroded international oversight. This brings us to one of the most critical concepts in the discussion about Iran's program breakout time. This term refers to the minimum amount of time required for a country to produce enough weapons-grade uranium, at 90% purity, for a single nuclear bomb, assuming it has decided to do so. It's not the time it takes to build a deliverable weapon, but rather the time needed to get the essential fissile material. Under the full constraints of the JCPOA, Iran's breakout time was estimated to be over a year. This long timeline was considered a major success of the deal because it gave the international community ample time to detect a violation and respond diplomatically or otherwise. Today, the situation is drastically different. As a direct result of the steps Iran has taken since 2019, its breakout time has shrunk dramatically. Current estimates suggest that Iran could produce enough weapons-grade uranium for one bomb in a matter of days, or at most, a couple of weeks. This dangerously short window is due to its large stockpile of uranium already enriched to high levels, particularly the material at 60% purity. The process of enriching uranium from 60% to 90% is much faster, and requires significantly less effort than enriching it from natural levels up to 60%. This reduction in breakout time has fundamentally altered the strategic landscape. Furthermore, Iran's total stockpile of enriched uranium has grown to an alarming size. According to reports from the IAEA, as of mid-2024, Iran possesses a quantity of enriched uranium that, if further enriched to 90%, would be sufficient to produce the fissile material for several nuclear weapons. This accumulation of material is a direct violation of the JCPOA's limits and represents a significant proliferation risk. The larger the stockpile, the more bombs Iran could theoretically build, and the more leverage it has in any future negotiations. This reality has placed immense pressure on international diplomacy to find a way to contain the program. The combination of a short breakout time and a large stockpile means Iran is standing at the nuclear threshold. While it has not crossed the line to build a bomb, it has all the necessary ingredients and technical capabilities to do so at a moment's notice. This is why international observers and intelligence agencies are watching with such intensity. The technical barriers that once stood in Iran's way have been largely overcome. The primary remaining obstacle is the political decision from Iran's leadership, making their intentions and public statements more important than ever. A nuclear program is only one half of the equation for a credible nuclear threat. The other is a reliable delivery system. Iran has developed the largest and most diverse ballistic missile arsenal in the Middle East. Its missiles, such as the Shahab-3, are capable of reaching Israel and parts of southern and eastern Europe. This advanced missile capability is a major source of regional and international concern on its own. However, while these missiles could theoretically be adapted to carry a nuclear warhead, there is no public evidence that Iran has successfully designed or tested the specialized re-entry vehicle needed to deliver a nuclear payload. Building a compact, durable warhead that can survive the intense heat and pressure of atmospheric re-entry is a complex engineering challenge that would likely take Iran several more months, or perhaps up to a year, to master. The rhetoric from both Iran and international bodies reflects the growing tension. In recent years, some Iranian officials have begun to speak more openly about their country's nuclear weapons potential, a shift from their long-standing official policy that such weapons are forbidden. An advisor to the supreme leader has even stated that Iran might have to review its nuclear doctrine if its existence is threatened. Meanwhile, the IAEA has repeatedly expressed deep concern over Iran's lack of cooperation. Tehran has restricted inspectors' access and has failed to provide credible explanations for the discovery of uranium particles at several old undeclared sites, raising questions about past undeclared nuclear activities. This combination of factors explains why the world is watching Iran so closely. A nuclear-armed Iran would fundamentally reshape the balance of power in the Middle East, likely triggering a regional arms race as other countries such as Saudi Arabia might feel compelled to develop their own nuclear capabilities to counter the threat. This would create a far more volatile and dangerous region, increasing the risk of miscalculation and conflict. The potential collapse of the global non-proliferation regime is another major fear, as Iran's success could embolden other nations to pursue nuclear weapons. Looking ahead, the future is uncertain and fraught with risk. Diplomatic efforts to revive the JCPOA have stalled, and the path forward is unclear. Possible scenarios range from a renewed diplomatic push to contain the program to a continuation of the current tense standoff, or, in a worst-case scenario, to military action aimed at destroying or setting back Iran's nuclear facilities. The choices made in Tehran, Washington, and other world capitals in the coming months will be critical in determining whether this long-running crisis can be resolved peacefully or if it will escalate toward a dangerous confrontation.